I want to introduce myself. My name is Robert Bentley, and I'm from Tuscaloosa. I've been a physician in Tuscaloosa now for 34 years. Since I'm running full-time for governor, of course, I'm not practicing right now. But you don't have time to practice medicine and run for governor. But also, prior to that, before I specialized, I was a doctor in the military. And so I've served in the United States Air Force, served the Air Force and the Army, in fact. We were placed where they needed us, so I served in both. But I practiced medicine for 34 years, and also being a doctor, of course, you're a small business owner. And we have the largest dermatology practice now. I started it 34 years ago, and it's the largest one in the Southeast. We have 30 plus employees. In fact, we probably have closer to 40 employees right now in our practice. I also had the privilege of serving House District 63 for the last 8 years in the legislature. In fact, one of my best supporters is Eddie Pugh, and I know y'all know Eddie, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody. I don't know if that helps me or hurts me up here with y'all.
Good hearing from you, Doctor.
Hey, so I can just turn it off and leave.
We forgive you.
All right. Eddie and his red pickup, and Eddie's always been a strong supporter, and I appreciate what you guys do. I really do. The firefighters are always been close to me, and they've always supported me and in my campaigns, and I just appreciate what you do. A real problem in this state right now, and all y'all know this, is unemployment. We've got a real problem in Alabama. We have 228,000 people that are unemployed, and that's 11.1% of the population. And these are just people who are applying for unemployment. So we need to put people back to work. And if we don't put people back to work, that hurts our budgets. It hurts our city budgets, our county budgets, our state budgets. It hurts everything, because if people are not paying taxes, they're not supporting you. And so we need to put people back to work. One of the things that I'm going to do is, in fact, 2 weeks ago, we just passed a bill in the House, and I sponsored this bill, wrote and sponsored this bill, that will give employers up to a 50% deduction if they'll hire somebody off the unemployment roll and keep them for a year. So that's to hire people that are unemployed presently, and that's how the government ought to do it. We ought to be helping free enterprise, and we ought to be helping companies hire people and put them back to work, and then they can start paying taxes and being part of the society again. One of the things that I'm going to do, and how many have seen my ads? That's pretty good. One of the things I want to do, and I didn't want to come across like it was a gimmick, but this is something I really want to do. I thought about this before I made the ads. As long as people are hurting in Alabama and they don't have a salary, as governor, I'm not going to take a salary. And you always have to be careful about that. People think, well, that's just a gimmick. And in fact, there was an editorial written about me in the Crimson and White, which is the university newspaper down there, and they said, yeah, he was just pandering to the people. And I said, yeah, I am. I sure am. Because you know what, I'm going to identify with people. If I'm the governor of the state of Alabama, I want to identify with the 228,000 people out here that don't have jobs. But I want to do that, and we want to also create an environment in Alabama where we can entice new high-paying jobs into Alabama, like the Hyundai and Honda, the Mercedes, and these type jobs. But we also want to really support small businesses, because that's where most of the jobs are created. 75% of your jobs are created by small business. So I want to create jobs in small business. I want to create under the governor's office an office of small business development that'll teach people. I bet a lot of y'all have your own small business. Don't y'all have how many have a second job in here? All right. Most of you do, and most of the people in Tuscaloosa do. And many of your outside jobs, you have your own business. So we need to help that. We need to help create small businesses for the people of Alabama that will create most of the jobs. Now, there are a lot of other issues that face us in Alabama. I think ethics is an important issue. You obviously want somebody who is honest, And I can promise you two things. I can promise you as governor that I personally, obviously I'm not going to take a salary, but I'm not going to take anything as being governor. I'm not going to gain from being governor of the state, and my children are not going to gain. Now, I can't say that's always happened in the state of Alabama, but my children are not going to gain anything from me being governor of the state. I can promise you that. But we need to clean up government. There's no doubt we do. We need to get rid of this pack-to-pack transfer. We need to have a better ethics commission, but we also could give subpoena power to our ethics commission, and I'm not opposed to that, but I think we ought to have a good ethics commission. But the thing about government is it needs to be totally open and honest, and that's the thing that will make people trust government. If you know where every penny goes, where every penny is spent, and that's all we need to do. It doesn't have to be complicated rules. All it has to be is just total openness. You know, this health care issue is a real issue right now that's facing Alabama, and I'm not going to go up through all this, but I can tell you, I sat there Sunday afternoon and it scared me. It scared me to think that we have now federalized businesses like General Motors. We've taken over the banks, and now we've taken over 1/6 of the economy in this country, and that's health care. And that's scary. And as a doctor, it scares me, because I don't like insurance companies getting between me and my patients, and I don't like the federal government getting between me and my patients. I think it ought to be between the patient and the doctor. And I think that patients ought to be back in control of their dollars and decide where it ought to be spent, and not the federal government. But this is scary, folks. It really is. It's scary to think that we are going down the path of socialism, and that's what we're doing. And right now, unless we change this Congress, there needs to be checks and balances. I mean, probably government works best when you have one side that's one thing and the other side is, you know, Congress and we probably work best when we do that way. You have a little checks and balances, but we don't have it right now, and it's scary. The other thing is education, and I'm not going to go into this in great detail except to say that we need to improve the quality of our education in our public schools. Now, I am a public school supporter. All right? I have no problem, and I'm going to support any parent that wants to homeschool their children. I think that's great. If they have the temperament and the patience to do that, I think that's wonderful. I'm for private schools. I'm for any way a parent wants to educate their children. But 92% of the children in this state go to public schools, and my responsibility of the governor of this state is to try to improve public schools in this state. And I'm going to support our teachers, and I'm going to support our principals, and I think we need to give more flexibility to our local school boards and school systems. Now, very quickly, let me tell you why I think you ought to let me go. Number one is I know the most about budgets of anybody running. Next year, the general fund budget will be down $600 million. The education budget will be down $600 million. Do you need someone who has experience dealing with budgets, who knows what we can do, where we can cut without cutting jobs? And that's what we need to try to protect the jobs of our teachers and our state employees. But we are going to have to make some serious decisions next year on what we are going to need to do. So you need somebody who has experience, and I have the most experience. I've been on the Education Appropriations Committee, and in fact at 1 o'clock, that's what I'm meeting on this afternoon. I've been there for the last 8 years, and I've helped write and rewrite that budget for the last 8 years, and I understand it. And you need someone who does understand things. That's number one. Number two, if you look at my website, Robert Bentley 2010, you'll see that I have a lot of ideas. I believe that the governor ought to be innovative in his thinking, and then he ought to put good people in charge of that and carry out the things that this state needs. I want Alabama to move forward. I don't want us to remain stagnant, and I want us to move forward in all areas, education, health care, and a lot of things that you'll see on my website.